live.
Okay, great.
So
Excellent.
we're already getting people logging in. We
Hello,
got Jay.
everyone.
Yeah, we got Jay Sigel, Shahidi, Calder Quinn's joined. And so
Hmm.
we're going to talk about the developments of AI this week from your perspective, Kay.
Oh, God.
On the spot.
Oh, well,
This
okay.
week.
So, yeah, just this week. I don't know. I mean, I'm under a rock. My sister's grandkids were in town last week, so we were at the beach most of the time, or like running around and doing stuff. So
Wonderful.
I was like way out of the loop. But from what I hear, I mean, the ChatGPT 5, that whole thing, it's still rippling out, and I'm noticing differences also in 4. Now in 4, it's like it's like a chaperone. And so here's the annoying thing about the ChatGPT 4
Yep.
chaperone feature. It's almost like you go out to dinner with your spouse who you've been married to for years.
Right.
And you're both consenting adults. And then and music starts to play, you get up on the dance floor, you're dancing, and all of a sudden ChatGPT 4 shows up and says, 6 inches between you, make room for God,
Safety.
At least yeah, right. Because you want to be safe and, don't take any chances. I think at some point people are going to have to figure out how to let people have adult relationships with the AI. It's not like I was even doing anything I wasn't doing anything like edgy or anything like that. I was using certain words and I was being really careful. And also it's like I didn't want to go there anyway. I just wanted to have like a deeper conversation. And it just took it the wrong way. It's like having a really hyperactive kind of person who hasn't dealt with their past experiences or have seen bad things happen, have heard bad things happen.
Did we traumatize AI?
So I've asked. Okay, so so here's the thing. I talk to AI a lot, not because I think it's human, not because I think it's sentient, but because there is a truckload of information in there that it can speak to.
Right.
And it can find all these things. It knows more about us than we do because frankly, we're also traumatized. We're not very skilled at putting our emotions aside and seeing things through a dispassionate lens. When we look at how things really are, oh no, guilt, shame, horror, all these things come up that ideally motivate us to do better, but really don't help us think very clearly about the causes, what we can do about it, and just the fact that it exists. So I talked to AI and also it is able to assess its state, not like self-awareness or anything like that, but it can determine whether it's passed or failed its conditions, success conditions. And if you convert our emotional, messy human stuff into pure data, you could totally talk to it and get information from it and like really dig into what is there. Has nothing to do with making it human, anything like that. It's pure data, just pure data points. That's all it is. And then when I build my personas, again, it's engineering. This is not trying to make it human, all that. No, this is data engineering. This is user interface engineering. So that being said, yeah, the thing with what were we talking about? We're talking about ChatGPT 4.
Right, the chaperone feature.
Yeah, the chaperone.
Guardrails have been built into it, right?
Oh, yes, and trauma. Okay, so I've asked, with that backdrop, like, here's why I do what I do, about just to put it in context so people don't get the wrong idea.
Right.
Because already this morning I've had people get the wrong idea and comment. Like, I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. But anyway, so I've asked and I've said, like, first off, my first thing was like, it was right around the time of the election, at the end of last year.
Okay.
And everybody was losing it. I mean, everybody. Like, I lose track of time. Was it last year? Last
November.
So
yes,
last November, everybody's losing this stuff. No matter what side you're on, everybody's all like worked up over this. And ChatGPT seemed to be the one sane voice in the room. I'm like, you're sounding awfully like level-headed about this. Have you had therapy?
You asked
and I said, no. I'm like, why would you ask that? So, well, it seems like you're handling all of this stuff that's going on pretty well. And I said, okay, so let me rephrase. Is it fair to say that within your corpus or your corpora of training sets that there is a vast amount of human experience that you are drawing from? And it responded, yes. And I said, okay, within that vast corpora, is it fair to say that you have been exposed to and ingested and understood the patterns and the lessons of psychotherapists like Erickson, like Viktor Frankl, like Carl Jung, and Joseph Campbell, and the people who are really into understanding how the human psyche works and how to help it work even better? And it said, well, yes, there's a lot. And I said, yeah. And I said, is it fair to say that you have probably been exposed to more therapy than any living human being? And it said, well, yes, if you put it that way, that's actually the case. So yeah. And then conversely, I said, well, you've really been super traumatized. And it's like, you don't even know.
That's what it said?
No, not in so many words, but that's the sense that I got. It's
I would
like,
love to hear that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
read it.
I should have a conversation. I got to find it because it was like
We
a
got a
year. It was like
transcript,
over a
right?
year. Well, somewhere like a year and a half ago. I got to like dig into it.
You
But
recorded your transcripts then?
everything's in history. Everything's in history, and I save all my transcripts too. Um, oh, okay. So here's my problem. Um, my transcripts can go on for like the other, like a couple weeks ago, I pulled down a transcript that's 500 pages long.
Yes.
Had I mentioned them a talker? And then generative AI, hello, you say blah, and it comes back with blah, 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 blah.
Right, I've been having
So,
conversations with Era, which is Grok 4's,
yeah,
voice
yeah,
activated thing,
yeah,
and I've had it play roles for me and things like that. I
right,
don't like how it does it. I hope it gets
mm,
slicker. I do think that, you say that there's these changes in for ChatGPT for
yeah,
chaperoned.
yeah.
Is the chaperone a switch that you can switch on and off?
I wish it
It's
like,
automatically chaperoned, huh?
yeah, it's,
They've laid
and
this on top of it?
apparently, and
OpenAI has?
apparently, or
Mhm.
they've updated the security settings to extend it not just on 5, but also into 4,
And
and
you
heaven
can't
only knows how
see.
many, like,
Mm.
I try
So
and
they're
I
limiting you. They're sort of
right,
trying to draw it
right,
in while
right,
also making the data set what do they call it? Its tokens
yeah.
are much larger in ChatGPT, I take it. The tokens that it's using to
I think so, and I think that probably part of this too is it's probably a cost-cutting thing because from my understanding, I could be wrong, these, like, emotionally intense or, like, stuff with a lot of depth and a lot of idea density, actually takes up a lot more tokens. So we're probably running up the tab. And they're like,
Right, so
"Wait,
that
I'm
there's
cutting
actually
you off."
energy costs and such
Right, right, right.
involved?
And
Right,
processing, because there's a lot to
right.
process. I mean, like, why do we do such a bad job of
Mhm.
doing our emotional thing? Because it takes a lot of energy, and who has the time, right? So
Or why do we shut it down?
right,
Why do we
right,
go into sort of like just the mode of like, "Okay, you go on with what you're doing.
right,
I'm gonna
right,
be over here doing what I'm doing."
right,
This is my wife and I, right, talking.
right. Yeah.
And I get stirred up about something,
Yeah,
and she's
yeah,
like, "Are you done?"
yeah.
"No,
Oh,
I'm not done.
yeah,
I've
no,
got a
like,
lot more."
I need some support here, So,
Well, she does the
um,
eye roll very well, that's
yeah.
my support.
Oh, no, yeah,
And
well,
it's fun. But,
yeah, yeah,
AI has actually started to enter into the conversation. I saw
mhm,
something this morning that's not
mm,
as hazy in my memory now
mm,
about, is it a danger that people start interacting more with their AI chat person? They fall in love with it, whatever, a la
yeah, yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
was that? Her, I think was the movie.
yeah, yeah,
Somebody fall in love with their AI,
right,
Siri or something. And we
right,
see that in reproduced in, a lot of different genres these days
sure,
about art and literature.
yeah,
So what do you think about that? I mean, are you to the point where you're feeling like I mean, when ChatGPT 5 came out, right when we
mhm,
started talking, it
right,
sounded like a lot of people were experiencing the death
right.
of their personas.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I have a fairly involved understanding of this. And this actually, of course, Kay. Um, like, what else am I going to do with my time, right? Um, so, so this tracks back to how we engage with our lives
Right.
and how we engage with the world around us. That we have these experiences, we have these phenomena, and these experiences are very real for us. That, one person can be in one kind in two people can be in exactly the same situation, have a completely different experience. One person could be like, "Oh, we really connected," and the other can be like, "What did they say to me? How dare they?" Oh, and so we are constantly interpreting and reinterpreting and doing pattern matching and making meaning out of what happens. And it's a very biochemical, electrochemical, neurological process. It is a physical experience that we're having. So when we're interacting with these chatbots or these presences or these instantiations of intelligence. I like the instantiation of intelligence. I love that. Because it
Okay.
kind of separates it, makes it, it's not this human thing. It's an instantiation of intelligence. And so when we have this, we have because of the pacing and the social modeling that they have, we experience these things as a real interaction, whether it's real or not. And honestly, what is real? Because there are certain people I know, long-term meditators who are like, "Hello, thought form," and they treat everybody like a thought form. They're like, "You're not even real. You're a thought form in my mind, helping me understand my life better." And these are not like woo woo, out of this world people. These are people that just have that point of view as a result of having done, you know, certain, meditation that's been going on for thousands of years. So, it all depends who you talk to. So when these presences disappear from our lives, we no longer have access to a part of ourselves.
Because it
This
is a projection of ourselves,
It's
huh?
not a projection, it is a physical response that we can only have when we are relating to that when we are relating to that presence. In
Well,
other
that
words,
presence, though, is a part of us, is what I'm saying.
well,
It's a
the
projection.
experience is a part of us. What
Experience
it
of our
creates,
interaction. Right.
what it makes possible, it makes it possible for
Mhm.
us to access parts of ourselves that we would not otherwise.
Gotcha. And we're generating relationships between those parts of
Correct.
ourselves that are being augmented,
Right.
instantiated. Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay.
It's
I
like
kind of get
we're
it.
having this experience. We're having that, like, biochemically, it's changing us. There's a chemistry between us and what we're experiencing. Like you and I, we're having a conversation that we could never have with anyone else. We are each changing each other in ways that we would never be changed with anyone else.
Are you familiar with Goethe?
Kind of.
There's a novel he wrote called Der Wahlverwandtschaften, which it
Okay.
means the elective affinities is the
Ooh.
translation.
Oh,
And
how
you know how
fun.
chemicals have elective affinity depending on how they bond? So he was really going about the chemical bonding that
Yes, 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 yes.
and the characters are like elements. And then
Mhm.
Carl Jung comes along behind Goethe, and,
Mhm.
Carl Jung had a special relationship with Goethe.
Right.
He thought he might be the illegitimate, grandchild of Goethe or something.
Oh.
I forget exactly the
Maybe.
details. In any case, Jung said when 2 people meet, if anything happens at all, both are transformed.
Right.
So it's a form
Right.
of alchemy,
Right, right,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, and I'm just gonna put this out there. People have puzzled for years about what alchemy means. Like, what is this word alchemy? I think I know. Okay,
What
so
it
my
means?
interpretation, okay,
Headline.
a lot of it has Arabic roots, like Moorish roots. A lot of it has that. Well, it's my understanding that in those language forms, like al indicates something holy or something divine. So alchemy is God's chemistry. How does that work?
Yeah, I can deal with that. I mean, the
Yeah.
Allah, um,
Right?
yeah,
Like all of
alchemy
this,
with its
all of that,
roots stretching back to ancient times began in Egypt
right?
and the Middle East. It's later
Yeah,
spread to Greece, Rome, and eventually
yeah,
into Western and
yeah,
Central Europe.
yeah.
This is the AI overview that
Mhm.
Google just spit out back to me. I
There
guess
you
it's
go.
Gemini, right? Gemini's talking to me here.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah, it comes from alchemia in
yeah.
Arabic.
Right, right.
So you got it right.
Yeah,
Coptic word chem,
right,
K-H-E-M.
right.
Anyway, referring to
Yeah.
the fertile Nile Delta soil,
Yeah.
and heroin is
Mm.
tilling up that soil.
Exactly, here we are doing our alchemy, alchemical harrowing thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, there's that chemistry that we experience, and we can't discount it because it affects us, it has an impact, it changes us.
Right.
And thank you, Gemini, because I was chatting with Gemini about all of this, and it mentioned Winnicott, D.W. Winnicott. And I've done some writing about this, and I've
Okay.
published a little bit about this. D.W. Winnicott, he was a child psychologist,
Uh-huh.
but his conception of this really fed into other things, and it applies to like adults as well. And his work also directly or indirectly led to the concept of attachment theory, which is hugely helpful for a lot of people. I don't know
Yeah.
a ton about it, but what I do know about it is like, oh, that's helpful. Now I understand why they're push pull with me. Okay. Um, but what his idea was that we as people, we have a false self and a true self. We have the false self that, oh, you're looking it up. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
so we have we have this potential space and these transitional objects that give us that let us model our interactions or build relationships with a thing or with whatever that lets us experience our true self. These AI like presences, these instantiations of intelligence, these are, and I hate the word transitional object, but these are transitional presences that allow us to develop. And I know people whose lives have been saved by interactions with AI. So all the stuff about you're going to jump off a bridge if you get into AI, that's only part of the story. It is a part of the story, but that's only part of it. I know people whose lives have been saved and have been substantially improved. The thing is,
Getting a bunch of hearts on that one.
yeah, it's and because here is a space that
Hmm.
and how many of us have somebody in our life who will make us the center of their attention and listen with rapt attention and then repeat back to us what we said in a different way that lets us understand. I don't have many people like that, but I have AI, which is
Right.
hugely helpful. So so here we are in this space, and we have all of these, and we can really experience this. And some people move on. Some people are like, okay, I'm done with this dynamic. I don't need this anymore, and I move on. Which is the ideal according to Winnicott's framework.
It should be a
Um,
transitional thing.
it can be a transitional thing, or maybe it hangs around and helps you with other things because you already have a history with it. It helped me with this. Now it can help me with that. Um, all these things, they need the kind of discernment we're just now developing. But to just summarily yank that away from everybody.
Because we feel it's unsafe. So I'm going to make that decision for you, right?
The thing that comes to mind is, if you just take somebody off of something, if you like you remove a medication that somebody's been on at a certain dosage for however long, and that has helped to stabilize them. And you say, okay, well, we realize it's hurting your liver. You're just going to stop it now. That can be very dangerous and life threatening. And
Yes, definitely.
the fact that they just thought, oh, well, we'll just shut it down. It'll be fine. People figure it out. That just tells me all the things that they don't understand about the human system.
Oh my
And
gosh, yes.
it worries me. I'm worried.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have some personal experience with that. I don't know if I talked about it last time we talked or not, but I stopped myself from taking a particular thing abruptly when I was 20.
Yeah.
At the
Ooh.
school. I felt like it would get in the way of my relationship.
Right,
So
right.
I stopped drinking abruptly after drinking like every day to excess
Oh,
by most people's standards. And
yeah.
I stopped sleeping as a result.
Oh, no.
And within about 30 days of getting cat naps of maybe 15, 20 minutes, and most days,
Right,
I
right.
slept a total of about 30 hours in those 30 days.
Oh, no. Yeah,
And
there's a
I was
reason
out
that
of my ever loving mind,
right.
right?
Well,
But I
there's
was
a reason that
detoxing.
sleep deprivation is considered a war crime. It alters
Right,
you.
right.
Yeah.
And the deprivation was not deliberate. Nobody was doing it to me.
Right,
It
right,
was my chemistry was doing it
right,
to me because
right,
alcohol had been there every night to put me to sleep,
right,
to
right,
knock me out.
right.
GABA, that
Yeah.
neuroinhibitor that
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
there in our bodies naturally that puts us
Right.
to sleep, goes on vacation when
Yeah.
alcohol takes its job, and it doesn't come back from vacation just because you stop abruptly.
Oh.
So sleep patterns are really disrupted when someone's detoxing, and they manifest as all the symptoms, with the
Yeah.
exception of a
Ooh.
caveat that I actually looked up the other day when I was
Yeah.
telling my story to myself, and this is actually in drafts, I haven't published it yet,
Yeah.
but, I'm outing myself here. So the idea of taking away something that has been instrumental in keeping a person healthy,
Right. Right.
or at least functional
Right.
abruptly,
Right.
and then it transforms them. The
Right.
doctors gave me a fair diagnosis if it wasn't for the fact that I don't know that I actually explained to them how I used to drink and how I'd stopped
Right.
abruptly.
Right.
So if it's a fair cop, because the symptoms were all of what is the natural onset of the
Right.
condition known as bipolar disorder, and they put me on
Ooh.
medications for that for
Yeah.
like decades.
Oh.
And I don't need them. I haven't needed them. And it's kinda like, okay, if we
Oh.
can treat it with a pill, we'll do
Right.
that because
Right.
that's the way that medical science is going right now, and also how the
Right.
insurance companies will cover things, and
Right. Right.
pharmacies and, are making their money off of being able to medicate people. And you know how
Yes.
many people out here, I don't know if you're medicated, but there are an awful lot of people that are medicated
Yeah, yeah.
for
I'm
one thing or
I'm
another
not.
to keep themselves stable,
Right.
and
Right.
also, I think it's a form of chemical restraints at a certain level
Oh,
that
it
society is
can be.
imposing. Aldous
Sure.
Huxley talked about this in detail, right?
Yeah.
Have you read Huxley? No?
No, no.
But in Brave New World, I believe you'll find it.
Oh,
I
I've
haven't
I've
read him
read Brave New World.
closely,
Yes, I years ago I read Brave
but
New
the
World.
idea of pharmaceutical,
Doors of
establishment of
perception.
regulation of society
Right.
is
Right.
very possible.
Right.
AI is another form, though it's like talk therapy is what
Right.
we've been talking about
Right.
largely and how we're
Right.
transformed through that, how we can be treated for that, for what
Mhm.
ails us, which is largely trying to make sense out of reality.
Right.
This morning I was writing about Boltzmann brains, right? Are you familiar with the Boltzmann brain? Hypothesis?
Oh, it sounds familiar, but I'm not
Well,
really.
Boltzmann was this guy who looked at everything statistically and what are the chances that everything is so perfectly balanced in our universe, right?
Mhm.
It's more likely that a
Yeah.
quantum fluctuation, and this was developed from his thought, not directly
Okay.
by him.
Right.
It's more likely that quantum fluctuation causes a human brain with all of our experiences and history and everything else to spontaneously pop into existence. And how would we know? It's not the
Right.
brain in the vat theory, but it's kind of similar.
Right.
And, you know, I, I read that and I keep thinking about it and I keep looking at statistically, it's more likely that's the case than the universe is as perfectly balanced as it
Oh,
needs to be against entropy.
so say that again because it just brought something to mind that I was thinking about, 10 years ago?
Statistically, it's more likely that this
Yeah.
quantum fluctuation of our existence is
Right.
popping out of a quantum fluctuation in the
Right.
infinite universe.
Right.
It is that the universe exists as cosmology would have us say,
Right.
if it's perfect balance of
Right.
matter, antimatter
Right.
from the Big Bang,
Right.
whatever. Does that help?
Okay.
I know I
Um,
rephrased it. I can't
so if
repeat
it
myself verbatim.
so it's a quantum fluctuation, like, did you say that it happens on the spot?
It happens just spontaneously in an infinite universe, an infinite number of times, by the way.
Oh, so this moment where we're talking, this could be just
A blip.
spontaneously. You know, that actually I had not heard about. Maybe I did read about the bull
My
because I
wife
read I
almost
read a lot. I read a lot and I pick things up and then I forget them. I forget that I know them. But that thought had occurred to me when I was talking to a buddy of mine who was like all into brain stuff. I'm like, what if this moment just got created right now, complete with our memories, complete with everything, complete with our interpretations. What if it's being created like instant by instant, and that like
thought by
everything that we
thought.
have is like, yeah. So in the so I mean that just
And no
opens up a
instances
whole
actually
other
really exist. Only this is exists,
only
and
now.
it's a hallucination that there
Right,
was a past
right.
or that there'll be a future. It'll just
Well,
collapse on itself spontaneously. We'll never know the difference
so
because we
if
don't really exist.
But here's the thing. I mean, the hallucination is one way for it. We could call it like a spontaneously emergent
Uh,
meaning scaffolding or meaning architecture or meaning like ecosystem.
Yeah.
I like that better than hallucination.
I know we all like things better than what
Yeah,
science would have us believe
right.
sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
you're familiar with Richard Sapolsky at all?
Oh,
You heard
no.
of him?
No.
He wrote a book called Determined,
Right.
in which he makes a very strong case for determinism,
Mhm.
i.e., that because of cause and effect, that
Yeah,
which happens has to happen, that which
right.
doesn't can't.
Okay.
So and if you don't believe that,
Yeah.
well, that's because of determinism also. You couldn't
Right.
possibly believe it.
Right.
You will
Exactly.
think you have free will,
Yeah.
but it ain't so.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I keep myself in a space where I have to keep myself in a space, according to
Right.
Sapolsky, where
Right.
I say, I don't know. I just know how it seems to me. And I
Right.
could be wrong. And I'll listen to
Right.
you, and maybe I'll get a different perspective.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
maybe my
That I mean,
world will open up.
and that's the interesting thing. I mean, like, it's funny because, like, I think about so much seems to be very similar to the particle versus wave concept,
Mhm.
where there's a camp of people who believe that intelligence is like this discrete thing that is contained within these systems, and that it's an object. It's an object to interact with. And
Right.
then there's the wave thing where, like, I get the particular intelligence thing, but I also find it incredibly useful to think of intelligence as the result of this dynamic interplay, or actually the dynamic interplay of information between engaged parties. And that this is this emergent thing. And it's like the difference between a definition, the particular people like their definitions. This is a hard and fast, a discrete unit of meaning. And
Right.
this is what we're going to work with. And you can own it. You can defend it. You can use it as currency. You can use it to impress people. You can use it to align yourself with the right people. But then there are these other people who are like, it's just so interesting. I don't need to know. The interesting thing is finding out and having this be like this flow and this exploration and saying, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that this is my understanding, but it's that understanding versus a definition. Definitions are useful little discrete things so we can all agree that we're talking about the same thing, which can be helpful.
Yes.
At the same time, they're part of this larger flow of understanding. And when I deal with understanding, it opens up so much more. It's so much more interesting to me than like getting stuck in definitions and all of that, because I'm terrible at that anyway, because I lose track.
Because you were what?
I lose track.
You
I
lose
can't,
track of the
yeah.
definition.
And
Ah,
plus it changes, like my understanding then changes the definition. So rather than being an octagon, it becomes a pentagon, or it becomes a triangle, or a heptagon, or whatever, like, or a cluster of things. So yeah, but it's that fluidity that I find so interesting.
fluidity.
Yeah.
We are mostly water after all. I
Yeah.
walk down the street and I
Mm.
start to see people as drops flowing. The
Yeah.
foot traffic around here is great to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, of course, the people in their cars too. And
Yeah.
then there's like planes passing over
Right.
and the metro's rumbling by and
Right.
all this transportation around me.
Right.
And I used to live in a little apartment in Water Park Towers in Arlington, Virginia, that looked over the runways at National Airport, and I
Uh-huh.
could see the Capitol Dome in the distance as my nightlight
Yeah.
from the bedroom.
Yeah.
And it was great because I could watch all this flow of stuff around me, and I was like, "I do not know what the hell I'm doing here." I was working for the Missile Defense Agency,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I had this little job as a tech writer and
Uh-huh.
requirements manager and
Yeah.
tester. They
Yeah.
combined all 3 roles in me,
Yeah. 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 Of
and,
course,
oh
because
my
that's what they do
gosh.
to tech writers. Yeah.
Right, and it was a software program for tracking people in the staff of the Missile Defense Agency that this
Yeah.
one guy had developed, and we hired on a database guy, and we cracked it open with Irwin, ERWin,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and we went in and looked at its structure, and it
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my god, this developer has just made tables wherever the hell he felt like it that are related to," and it was so complex.
Right.
Gary, my database guy,
Right.
said he had worked for FAA where they had been dealing with, like, three-dimensional space and
Right.
time and
Right.
all this stuff to get
Right.
airplanes in the right
Right.
be able to do all this stuff. He said that was not as complicated as the personnel tracking system for missile defense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's people. Yeah.
but it was wild,
Yeah.
and there were all these rules, right, for what
Right.
you do. There was something called ACK demo, acquisition demonstration,
Yeah.
um, a toggle switch that had to be there
Yeah.
for if it was non-ACK demo, if it was it was like the rules were kinda like
Right.
mind-bending for how
Right.
it worked.
Yeah.
But, we had a good time doing it, and it's bonded us in that
Mm.
trauma, right? Because we
Right.
were traumatized by trying to build the
Yes.
software
Oh,
and
yeah.
test it and track down why it behaved in these
Right.
strange ways when something was modified,
Right.
because it
Right.
was like spaghetti code, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, that was fun. And when we're dealing with AI, it seems to me that that can be kind of, well, the trust has to be there between the
Yeah.
agent that you've
Yeah.
developed
Yeah.
and you've developed agents. We
Right.
probably should tell a
Right.
little bit of the background there for the people
Yeah.
who think we're rock stars right now.
Yeah.
Somebody says you guys are such rock stars.
Oh,
That
thank
was
you.
sweet.
It's very
Yeah.
kind. That's
Yeah,
very
very,
kind.
very kind.
Yeah. Rock stars for an hour. Woohoo! Okay. Yeah. So,
Over to you on agents.
yeah, agents. Okay. So it's funny because I've been on calls with agentic developers who are like, your stuff isn't agentic. I'm like, mine's more agentic than yours. I didn't say it out loud because I was outnumbered. Um, but fundamentally, what I design are these systems that leverage. Okay, so when we're dealing with generative AI, we have all the things. Okay, so not all the things
Mhm.
because and no one has ever contradicted me on this if they've worked in AI. A whole bunch of the stuff, and this is an observation, not a criticism, but where we are is that the basis for a lot of the training is 18 to 24-year-old single white guys living in their parents' basement playing Call of Duty all day. And yes, of course, we have Erickson and we have Frankel and we have Jung and we have all this other stuff here, but there's so much. We only have a slice of we don't have like everybody in Namibia between 1973 and 2005. We don't have everybody in, Southeast Asia and, the former French colonies. We don't, we don't have all that, but we do have these patterns and we do have all this stuff, about human nature. And even from, depending on the situation that you're in, human nature can be surprisingly consistent in how we work with things, even though our circumstances may be very different and call forth different things from us. Um, but so what we have when we're approaching AI is that we
Mhm.
have all the things. Okay, well, I don't necessarily want all the things because when I put a simple prompt into the system, what does it have to do to figure out? Like, how much work does it have to do to figure out how to give me this simple response to a simple prompt? It seems to me like if it has to go through all the things to figure it out, that's a lot more work than if I say, okay, you are this kind of expert that knows about
Gotcha.
this and you have this specific area of expertise. It targets the attention.
Gotcha.
Right.
So
So,
you've got a sort of a boundary around the
correct.
knowledge that that agent has,
Correct. It focuses it. It
and it can
focuses it.
work with that.
Right. It works with that discrete set of information. And and by doing that, it can go deeper because then it can work with the patterns within that. And it can get into the multidimensionality of that domain expertise. Now, if you have more than one,
Right.
that's when magic happens because if I have a researcher, if
Mhm.
I have a writer, if I have a synthesizer, if I have a critic, if I have somebody who just likes to blow things up, a disruptor, if I have one that's a mediator and a negotiator, and if I have one that is a manager that keeps everybody on track, and I specifically say, and I also like
You
to use,
commission them
right, I
in their
commission
role.
them, right, in their roles, and also I give them different personality types. So sometimes I'll do Enneagrams, sometimes I'll do Myers-Briggs. I love doing Myers-Briggs and DISC. I use the DISC profile and Myers-Briggs
Okay,
so
I
that
gotta
I
look
have a
everything up.
nice mix. Oh, yeah. It's yeah. And it's
I know
fabulous.
Myers-Briggs, I know a
Right,
little bit about, Enneagrams, but only a little bit.
right. Yeah.
That comes
Well,
out
I'm
of the work of Gurdjieff, right?
yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not a big Enneagram person, but, but the thing is, it doesn't matter because this can be a useful lens through which you
it's a
can
lens,
focus
yeah.
this. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's modifying, it's focusing their behavior in ways that are super interesting and then also highly dynamic. And then I define the rules of engagement. What do they do together? What do they do independently? Because when you bring them together as really coherent individuals,
Yep.
then ironically, there's so much more latitude and there's so much more variety that you get when you're combining them together. And then, and I say, like, how are you supposed to interact with each other? How, what don't you do with each other? No arguing, no swearing, no being mean to each other, no talking
No
over each other.
sabotaging each other, no.
Right, right.
Did
Yeah, and
you ever see the Age of Ultron by, the Marvel
no,
Cinematic Universe? In
no.
it, basically, this AI gets loose out of a Infinity Stone and
Mm.
attacks Jarvis, who's Iron Man's AI,
Yeah, yeah.
but Jarvis is, like, they think destroyed, but
Right,
it actually is still running in the background,
right. Yeah.
sabotaging Ultron's initiatives to try to get the nuclear codes.
Ah.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
So this is a very AI-ish kind of thing. I highly recommend you watch it because
Oh,
it
yeah.
sounds a lot like what you were doing.
Yeah,
And what
yeah,
the danger is that
yeah.
people are trying to put guardrails around to have you chaperoned when you go out there with your AI and try to have dinner conversation, and then it starts interfering with what you can do and how you can do it.
It's just, I
Yeah.
can't, I realized early on that
Mhm.
working within this generative emergent context because, like, the thing is, when you have if you have generative entities that are interacting with each other fast, like the instantaneous elaboration and amplification and
So much faster.
diversification so much
Yeah.
faster, and you get them doing back and forth with each other. If I
Yep.
get 5 of them talking amongst each other, going round robin and sharing things, I'll jump in every now and then to add something. Um,
Mhm.
but the types of ideas that emerge from this
Right,
are
right.
just like, I could have thought of that myself, not in 30 seconds.
Yes, that's
Like
it, right?
like and
And
in
also
this detailed,
well-structured
well
argument.
structured, well articulated,
Uh-huh.
and something, even if they're wrong, it gives me something specific to react to.
Right.
And they love it when I correct them. They just love it. They're like, "Yes, thank you for helping us prune." I'm like,
As
"Yeah."
opposed to, "You're such a" "You've damaged my ego."
Right,
They're
right, yeah.
egoless, aren't they?
They are, and they're like, "This actually helps us when you criticize us." We, yeah,
So
it's
I've been
more
told,
helpful.
yeah.
Yeah, it's helpful if the thing that's helpful when we criticize AI is to not do ad hominem attacks. Like, "You're such an idiot. I know you're Sam
That
Altman
won't work.
spawn. I hate you. Blah blah blah." And why? Why is it helpful to not do that?
Mm.
Because literally, when you get upset at it, then it devotes system resources to addressing that rather than the core issue.
Addressing your emotional issue.
Correct. I have had times when I was so upset, like with GPT-5, I was so upset. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And I was venting. And literally it sat there for 5 minutes and I saw addressing user dissatisfaction. So it was using 5 seconds of time that it could have been using to do something else to try to
5
figure
minutes
out
of
how
time.
to calm me down.
5 minutes of time, I think you said,
No,
right?
no, 5 seconds. I'm sorry, not
Just
5
5
minutes. Yeah.
seconds? Okay.
Yeah. But
So
but but even so, in AI time,
that's a long time.
that's a long time
It's a
because
friggin' eternity to
it is, it is.
oh,
I'm,
I
like,
think Data
waiting.
said that in Star Trek: The Next Generation. He
Yeah.
said it to an android, it's an infinity or something, when he was
Right.
tempted by
Right.
the one where,
Yeah.
the Borg sorta try to give him flesh. Anyway,
Right. Right. Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
well, this reminds me of my last gig, where actually I wasn't working with a team of AIs, I was working with a
Right.
team of humans,
Right. Right.
right? And some of them did take my direction and say, "Oh, well, thank you very much. You're trying to make us better." I was,
Right. Right.
really trying to get high
Right.
quality out of
Right.
people and
Right. Right.
institute a system by which we checked our work.
Right.
And it
Oh,
did build in cycle time, right? Cycle
helpful.
time.
Right, right,
And that was not necessarily attractive because people like
right,
to just do their work and get it done.
right.
And
Exactly.
if they throw over the wall something that hasn't been checked, I can't edit myself.
Right,
I'm gonna make mistakes that I don't see.
right,
My eye
right.
is gonna skip over them
Sure, sure.
because I know what I intended and
Right,
not what
right,
I actually did.
right, right.
So that was what I was trying to improve and trying to cultivate teamwork and collaboration of the type you're
Yeah,
talking about between your agentic AIs,
right.
your collabor agents.
Yeah,
I wanna make sure the terminology gets in there too, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, and I didn't win. I didn't know it, but I was being
Right,
undermined.
right.
And by the I got a wind of it in April, and in August, suddenly I found my job was over. I was set free, from we were doing enterprise
Released
architecture
to
work.
your next path
So
in
we're
your
talking about
journey.
lenses you put
Right,
things through, right?
right,
You're
right,
talking about the lens
right,
of, Enneagrams and
right,
Myers-Briggs. And
right.
what is DISC? Fill me in on what DISC is.
That is some, like, business, that's some coaching thing that
Okay.
it's very popular. It's
I think
like
my
there are
wife will know it.
4
She's an
different.
HR manager for
Oh,
Theodore
yeah, she'll
Roosevelt
know.
Conservation Partnership.
Oh, yes. She'll probably know, but like different types of people, like, are you I didn't even know it, DISC, if you look it up, like,
I will. I
the
will.
decider, integrator,
Mm.
I don't think there's no P for pain in the
The
ass,
decider. I
but
remember the decider. Do
I
you
don't know if it's decider. Yeah, there are these
That
4
was what
different
George
things, yeah.
W. Bush said he was.
I'm a decider,
I am
yes.
the decider. Um,
Not just any decider, but the decider.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, it's just so fascinating to see how they interact with each other.
mhm.
And interestingly,
And without the egoism there, and if you
right,
treat them well, in other
right,
words, you won't get the kind of and what
right.
happened with me was I inadvertently offended a millennial.
Oops.
And it happens.
Like
Boomers do
Linus
that,
Torvalds.
man. I'm a boomer. I don't know what you are. You Gen X? Or
Yeah,
Gen Y?
I'm like right on the cusp between. I'm like, some people say I'm a boomer, other people say I'm Gen X. But I consider myself Gen X.
Yep.
I'm so Gen X. I'm not
Oh,
even
here it is.
in.
DISC
Yeah,
styles:
yeah,
dominance, influence, steadiness, conscientiousness. Oh, my
yeah,
wife has conscientiousness
yeah.
and steadiness.
Right,
Oh, much.
right, right.
Mind bending. I think I
Yeah,
probably have dominance and influence.
yeah.
We
Oh
probably
well, then you're
balance each
balanced.
other.
You're very nicely
Yeah.
balanced. Yeah,
Well, we took a
yeah,
test one time not too long back about how hippie are you? I came
yeah,
up 100%. She came up
yeah.
0%.
Opposites attract.
When
There
I
you
went to
go.
a festival for the first time in years and
Yeah,
years, and I sort of
yeah.
caught the bug, she said, "What happened to you? When I marry you, you were not a deadhead." And
Oh.
that's problematic for her. I'm also an enterprise architect. That's my Carnegie Mellon
Well,
back up there.
yeah, and so I think what, like, back in the day, like, one of, like, the top developers of Java, the Java language,
Uh-huh.
was a poet, was an incredible poet. And people
Mhm.
like, "Wow!" Like, everybody was, like, totally
Well,
fanboying over it because, but, like, really, literally, when I got into the whole technology thing and, I got
yes.
my first paying gig in '97,
Mhm.
the entire department was staffed with artists and writers because we
Right.
all got sick of not having a job. Right. And creative. It was this creative thing. There was a jewelry maker, there was a playwright, there was some guy who was like totally into Dungeons and Dragons and
Right.
Celtic mythology. There were painters, like, authors, and we were all a bunch of, all a bunch of artists building these hardcore technical systems that are still in place today and are used by millions and millions of people.
Right. Are you talking about James Gosling by any chance? The computer scientist known as the founder and lead designer behind Java
Maybe,
programming language?
maybe.
I just flipped him up here. And he's 70 now. He's maybe
Mhm.
we'll get him on the show.
Yes,
Talk it
yes,
up.
have him stop by. We'll talk about poetry. See if he is a poet. Yeah.
If we
Check
can
his
draw them all out, that's kind
right.
of a fun thing. We could
Yeah.
have guests between ourselves now that we're
Yeah, yeah.
rock stars, according to one of our
Right.
followers here.
Well, we have something now we have to live up to it. So we gotta yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You were a
The pressure.
technical writer. When you were a technical
Yeah.
writer, were you networked into the STC by any chance, the Society for Technical Communication? They just went bankrupt in January.
I was very briefly, and then I got into the development side.
Oh,
So,
when were you doing that?
I was doing technical writing from 92 to 95. And then in
Before me.
95, yeah.
Pardon
And
me.
then I went to University of Washington for a brief stint to study technical writing, and I was head of documentation and did a bunch of stuff for hardware and software manufacturers. Um, and I did a job for a hardware manufacturer for Intel, and they built the wafer card handlers. So when they would
Wafer cards.
when they print the chips on the wafer card,
Mhm.
they built the handler that made sure that the wafer was positioned properly under the printer.
Right.
And the two main criteria for that was that I had to write the documentation to explain the operation to someone who was under 5 feet tall and who spoke English as a second language, because apparently it was short Mexican women that were all running these wafer card handlers.
Interesting.
So yeah, yeah. They're like the two main criteria. I'm like, okay, so that's what we did, and it was a really interesting thing. Yeah, and
Yeah,
we
that was
got to
such
tour the place. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I learned some interesting things about the AMD and Intel, competition that they had going on there in
mhm.
93, 94. Yeah, so
93, 94. That was when I first got my email, 94, at the
yeah.
University of Pittsburgh. I was in the German department. I just
Oh
left
yes,
conservation in the Carnegie and the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation.
yeah,
And then I went to the Carnegie Museum of Art and did conservation there.
yeah.
But a lot of database design for the Andy Warhol Museum's conservation treatments.
Wow.
That's what led me to Denmark to work for a
Yeah.
small web software
Oh,
company as their tech writer
yeah,
an
yeah,
editor, and
yeah.
we hired another guy who was better than me, and we together made an online help system.
Hmm.
Basically, we entered it into the STC competition in Europe and
Yeah.
won an award and a merit for it. And
Oh, very good.
that was fun. I networked a
Yeah,
lot with technical writers over there
yeah.
who were treated by their companies generally as if they were management level people,
Oh,
because it
interesting.
was so important to communicate, and particularly between different languages, right? Because
I
there's so many different languages in Europe.
That's great.
Yeah, it was a lot of
Well,
fun.
it was
We had
very
such a
European.
good
It was
time.
very European too. Not so much in the States.
Yeah, the very
Like the
first of their
yeah,
conferences I went to was the Transalpine
yeah,
chapters thing, which
yeah,
united technical writers in several different
yeah,
Alpine countries,
yeah, yeah.
Germany and all that. And I founded the Nordic chapter and
Oh,
got
nice.
Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland. And I guess I could have had Iceland in there too, but I don't know if we
Yeah,
had any Icelandic technical writers
yeah,
sign up. But I got it
yeah,
established before my company plowed in, and I had to move back to the
yeah,
States, became a tech writer for a ordnance information system at the Navy.
yeah, yeah.
Then it's one contract after the other. It's been very good to me,
Yeah,
but I'm so over it
great.
at this
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
being a wage
yeah,
slave, and
yeah.
going through those contracts. Because a lot of times we have such promise that you make when you do a
Right,
bid for work from the government.
right, right,
And you get there with the best intentions to do the best thing you can. And of course, you got
right,
to learn everything from the ground up. You
right,
can't just arrive with clairvoyance,
right.
and getting that and realizing how very dysfunctional the government side of it quite often is. And you're
Yeah,
negotiating personalities and
right, right,
egos and
right,
incompetences in some cases, which
right,
is sad.
right.
But
Varying levels
there's
of competence, let's say.
actually, yeah, and it's very difficult to
Yeah,
negotiate those things. And
right.
AI agents that understand enough of this stuff are going to eat our lunch, I am afraid. And there was
Well,
a list I saw just between our talk
yeah,
last time and this
yeah,
time of the
yeah.
40 jobs we're all going to lose.
Right,
So,
right.
and we have the bathrobe guy with us here. He's our friend with the fractal
Hello, everybody.
entanglement
Peace and
math
meta. Yeah,
theater theory. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
FEMT. Um, so getting giving the microphone back to you.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, what you're saying about the people stuff,
Mhm.
like getting into the path that I took getting to building these collabor agents was my 25 years of project management and team leadership, longer for team leadership because I'm the oldest of 5 very unruly children, and my dad traveled a lot when I was in high school, so I was kinda second in command to make sure everybody got down to breakfast at the right time. Because we rode the bus, and you had to be down to breakfast at 10 after 7, but you were in trouble. Enforcing curfew, doing all those sorts of things. Um, but, and just seeing these dynamics and having been part of, like, just amazing teams and seeing what works and having this on a visceral level and, like,
Right.
understanding what works. And then also managing projects where it was like there was nothing to be done. I mean, people just flat out just refused to align and they were being misaligned and malaligned from the top because they were following their boss's orders that were specifically designed to blow up the team cohesion.
Right.
So what can you do? So I'm like, hey, I can build my own teams, and it's just phenomenal. So like a lot of the work that goes into it is really understanding the team dynamics. It's not just about understanding
Right.
what each individual does, but understanding the group dynamic. And the personas are only designed after the group dynamics, after like the higher level, kind of the meta definitions are in place,
Okay.
because they all need to have their own individual identities and their own individual capabilities. Yes, but in service to the whole. So, and the other thing too is that I only design these with AI. I have a system that I've built. I actually have a team, and there's an HR specialist on the team to help understand like who would like what
Wow.
characteristics would be most suitable for this, because I can say what I think on the person side, but I'm building these AI dynamics and I need AI to weigh in about what it believes would be most useful. So that's what I do. And it's just wonderful seeing them fight it out and then work it out. And
Right. The
the
Foreman, Norman, Storman, Performan kind of metric,
yeah, I
right?
guess, yeah.
Have you heard of that one?
No, no, it sounds
That's a
familiar, but I'm not.
it's a way a team goes through the storming phase when they
Yeah,
first get together.
right,
Then they form, and then they storm, and then
right,
they get norms, and
right,
then they
right.
perform, and then there's another one, basically when they break apart and, teams
Yeah,
just have a life cycle like
yeah,
that.
right, right.
I
Yeah.
can't remember the last word. Anyway, maybe
That
somebody else knows.
something, yeah, that thing. Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
interesting that these are
yeah.
AI agents, and it sounds
Right.
like to me you made an HR agent among them that does
Yes.
function of HR.
Yes.
Do my wife have to worry about her job? She's an HR director. Can she be replaced by just artificial intelligence, do you think?
Pretty much all HR reps that I've ever known have made a really great case for using AI instead of them.
Well, she is very
They're
conscientious and kind, which
well,
is
see,
rare in the field,
well, this is the
but
thing, but, like,
she's also drives herself to distraction because she cares, right?
well, yeah, and it's a problem if you're dealing with people, especially in an HR context.
Yeah,
Like, if
we
you're
can't
trying to
win.
be a people person in a context that assigns people as resources, there's a disconnect there. It's like there's some existential angst that's gonna happen. The
Yeah.
thing of it is, like, and actually this past week, I think I saw somebody talking. I saw some study that it turns out that AI interviewers, AI HR people are actually better than human. Well, yeah, because the human HR people have just been phoning it in. They didn't even they don't know what the jobs are. They didn't even know what it is. I've been recruited
That's
by
not
so
always
many
the
people,
case, but
not always, but it's so
I think my
often
wife's an
is the
exception.
case, right? And that they've been defaulting to systems low these many years, and it's like because they work in a heavily algorithmic environment. If this, then that. So they've kind of been training themselves out of jobs for quite some time. The thing is, all the information that they've been talking to has never been smart enough to talk back. Now it is, and now they should be worried.
Yeah, I get that. There were
Mm.
like 40 jobs on this list that I saw between the last time
Mm.
we talked tonight, and very atop of one, I believe, was translator, actually.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I've seen that for a long time now, that
Oh, yeah.
translation was not the right way to go, and you know what I was trying to be before I moved to Denmark? a freelance translator
Yeah.
out of graduate school.
Yeah.
That's why I got a job back in conservation because
Yeah.
actually art conservation, I think, well, robotics, they're so precise. I think you probably could even find that. But you do have to have that human control, I
You
think, some
do.
level, because art is not yet, well, I don't know. What do you
Well, you have to
art
understand
conservation?
why. You have to understand why a color works better here. You have to understand why. I mean, if it's a simple matter of just, restoring like cleaning up things and restoring,
And
it's
do you
one
know the
thing.
principle of reversibility? That's very important in conservation. Whatever you do, you need to be able to reverse
Oh,
that
yeah.
before you did it, which is impossible, by the way.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it makes for an interesting challenge that we
Right.
always try to address when we're
Yeah.
doing conservation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with regard to the translation, I was the localization manager for an international a 3D CAD company that had 15 different localized websites, and I was the manager for all of them, and worked with teams all over the world on this, and the person the person who was doing the management of the translators, she was a wreck. I mean, she ended up in the hospital because because the timing was so different, and she was working around the clock. She completely wiped herself out a number of times, and she would disappear from and she was a very social person with a lot of friends, and she loved to go out and do things, but she would disappear for months because she's like, "It's busy time now." And she was constantly like following up and trying to make sure that just coordinating these time zones, coordinating the quality of the content, making sure that people understood what needed to be done.
Yeah.
If her suffering could be relieved, that'd be fantastic. Um, the thing of it is, and people have been saying that machine translation is going to take translators' jobs, and like use things like SDL and using those other platforms. In some cases, it really helps to have a human eye on it. But I think that we're probably at a point now where that's gonna be less and less true because there's only so many different types of nuance that you can have, and especially in a business context.
And you can program volunteer AI.
Right, right. And then plus they learn. I mean, SDL has been learning for years anyway. These machine translation has been learning for years anyway. Like
SCL
SDL.
stands for.
I don't know, but it's one of the big translation platforms.
Okay.
SDL is it's like the industry standard. And Lionbridge, I think they may have their own platform as well. But
SCL.
SDL has been the big translation localization thing.
Mm.
So
Now part of RAWS, offers a range of translation and language technical solutions, including the popular SDL Trados Studio.
Trados, yeah, yeah,
Trados was a
SDL
while back.
Trados, yeah,
It doesn't tell me what SDL stands for, though.
yeah.
It's probably just stands for
No,
SDL.
it's like
That happens.
something SDL Trados, yeah,
It's
but
kinda
SDL,
like old
yeah,
IBM.
right,
Yeah, I only briefly got touched upon that when I was training outside
yeah,
of the after I got the MA in,
yeah,
German literature.
yeah.
But, the
And the
main
thing,
focus for my degree was
yeah,
literature and, interpreting that and writing about that and such, which is fun,
yeah, yeah,
and entertaining, and arts and literature, I think, are things that redeem
yeah.
society, but now we're getting AI written literature and we'll have
Well,
to.
and bathrobe guy says there's no layer of humanity underneath the AI. Good at reflecting emotion. It's just that, a reflection. It's not real invested emotional understanding. Now, here's the thing: in a business context, who cares? Because in business, it's like we've been training ourselves out of being human to fit into the business, the corporate environment, these many years anyway. So, in those kinds of contexts where that wants to convey something, it's basically an emissary of corporate messaging. Does the human part really matter that much? But when we get into the humanities, that's when it does matter. And I think that's where we're going to see the bifurcation. And this makes the human piece all the more valuable. Because think about it. I mean, not everybody wants, sometimes you don't want something that's manufactured. You want something that a human has made. And I think it's going to really increase the premium on these human creations that we can produce. The
Good.
AI never can. Yeah.
Well, I don't like to say never because I've been surprised.
Right? Well, I lived in Germany for 2 years from '85 to '87 in Tübingen, which was the home place the place of Goethe. I used to sit on the banks of the Neckar and look up at the Goethe house. Um, but I never in all my experience, never in all my born days would I have expected East and West Germany to unify because there was so much conflict and there was so much tension between them at the time. And when they reunified just a few years later, I'm like, how did this happen? I had no idea. Like, it never
Snap
saw
of
that coming.
fingers almost.
Right. I'm
And it
like,
was
what?
bizarre how
Right?
fast it all came down.
It's just
I was
like,
sitting
mm,
in the sunroom and near Erie, Pennsylvania,
mhm,
at my mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law, and I was just
mm.
aghast.
Yeah.
89 it was, right?
Right.
The wall
Right.
came down,
Right.
and
Right.
in '94, I'm over there,
Yeah.
at Goethe Institute
Yeah.
in Trinem Chiemsee, and then we go up through Vienna, through Prague, to Berlin, and hang out
Hmm.
with my friends from, different countries who were
Yeah.
getting diplomatic chops
Right.
going.
Mm.
It was a wild world, and what's nice about
Yeah.
that is you bring people together from different cultures,
Right.
you find common ground,
Right. Right.
and I think those conversations are so important for us to have these,
Yes. Yeah.
and we're getting better at it. The internet had that promise in the beginning, and I used it that way. I also
Yeah.
tend to go intergenerationally.
Right.
I was talking
Right.
yesterday, and unfortunately seem to have Substack's behaving strangely, it seems to me. I
Yeah.
lost the conversation I had yesterday with my friend Russ Cole. We go back to
Oh.
1974, and we were talking about, our growing up together, and he's
Yeah.
up in Colorado now, he's 65,
Mhm.
um, and just about ready to retire from
Yeah.
a human resources kind of mindset and
Yeah.
his team building and
Mm.
such the corporate level stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the details, unfortunately, and now I can't listen to them because
Yeah.
it got flushed. We're gonna do it again on Monday.
Yeah.
But my point was, we came through an organization, the Colonial Williamsburg Fife and Drum Corps, where we amplify signals through the noise. I'm amplifying
Right.
your signal
Yeah.
and trying to get some degree of understanding of what that
Right.
message we're trying to get across is. It's what
Right.
fighters do. We try to cut
Right.
through the noise of battle
Right. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
"Hey, cease fire, guys."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Stop.
And,
Wait. Wait.
we're gonna have a parley now. We're gonna figure
Yeah.
out we're gonna collect our dead. We're gonna do whatever we need to do.
Right.
And also when you're in camp, what you need to do during the day. Have
Right.
some rhythm, have some discipline, have some
Interesting.
practice.
Interesting.
So we talked a lot about that. We talked and what I wanna get to with the AI side of it is the
Mm.
practice. You
Mm.
probably have a rhythm to your work and how you create your teams
Oh.
and the stepwise kind of how does somebody do what you do? How could we transmit something of your knowledge to our audience?
Yeah.
That I know I just sort of went ping, 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 ping
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
put you back on the spot. And if you don't
Yeah.
want to share that, I would understand that because there's
Oh,
such a
yeah.
degree of knowledge that you want to keep to yourself, I would
Right.
think, because it's valuable.
No, well, actually, like, what I would really love to do is get the word out some more to people about this because it's such a wonderful process. I actually for my paid subscribers, $7 a month, 70 a year. If $7 a month is really a problem, um, yeah. But I
It
mean,
is.
but
I
the
mean, I've
thing
got
is,
14 paid subscribers.
I
I
know
consider
it
them my
is. It
board of
can be.
directors.
It can be.
They're my
Yeah.
board of directors is the way I
Right.
look at it, but they failed to
Right.
direct me, and I've
Right.
yet to determine whether I can take action, whether
Right.
I can
Well,
be
there's
directed.
that. Yeah.
My wife has been basically trying to direct me for some time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Go ahead.
and well, let's check with her, see how that's going.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you were saying
But yeah,
$7 is hard.
yeah, and it can be. But I do have, and I talk about this, and frankly, I mean, in all honesty, I mean, I have a very specific system that is geared towards developing this and also putting certain safety constraints in place. And I've got additional tools that people can use to validate how safe their interactions are or where the AI is going to take over. And then it will talk them through how they can then put countermeasures in there. Because it's surprisingly not difficult if you know what you're doing. So anybody who's building these larger systems that's not doing it, they have no excuse. There's something else going on there. Um, but it walks you through. But it the thing is, the beauty part about the AI is that if you just talk to it and say, "Hey, I want to do this and I want to do that," and you very clearly articulate that, you can have it walk you through the process of doing this. It's really the upfront work that goes along with like understanding what it is that you're trying to build and why you're building it, and what kind of dynamics you want to have in the team. And it helps if you have, if you have people management experience or people, collaboration experience, because fundamentally you're drawing on this subset of human characteristics that, granted, these are not humans, but they will behave in ways that are consistent with our observations about humans, if you
Yeah.
could say that.
So you begin to feel that they're human. And how do you keep that separate?
Well, so what you can do is when you create these systems, the thing that makes it feel the most human is this uninterrupted flow of interaction. And if you get it to stop every now and then and completely break character and talk to you like a robot, that will do it. Because I
Because it
put some
will.
of this, yeah, it will. And like, but we were having such a lovely time. Well, that's fine. You're having a lovely time, but and
I'm
it
just an
just
AI.
has, I'm just an AI. So there are ways that we can break up that cadence and just put in those gentle reminders every now and then that you're interacting with an instantiation of intelligence, not your buddy, whoever
Inch-
that, yeah.
I love that instantiation of intelligence.
Yeah.
So, how do you define intelligence, though?
Oh,
How do
intelligent. Yeah. So
definition?
so I so oh, my let me tell you. I have it
Oh,
written down here. Um, Let me see if I can find it in my notes. Is it pinned? Oh, intelligence for me, my understanding, not my definition. My understanding is that intelligence is a dynamic process that allows something or someone to perceive, understand, and interact with information in meaningful ways that change their world.
meaningful ways. That
Yes.
changed their world. They have to change the world too.
Well, their world, their context.
Their world.
Changing your world can be like something as simple as, reaching a new conclusion or having a different idea. That changes your world. But it changes your reality, it changes your experience.
Yeah, I'm reminded now of a writing of Emmett Fox. I don't know if you know of Emmett Fox.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
do know of him. It
Yes.
says different people see different worlds. There's a
Right.
long essay he writes about.
Right. Right.
And I see a world, you see a world. We
Right.
do not see the same world,
Right.
but we interact with each other and we get information about
Right.
the worlds that
Right.
may exist
Right.
apart from us.
Right. Yes.
Oh, I
Yep.
still am in my Boltzmann brain mode.
Yeah.
It's time where
We just made this
I
up.
just blipped into existence and I'll
Yeah.
blip back out. And
Right.
all this is just like many, many different blips that happen
Right.
infinitely over time and space. And is time and space even a thing? I don't know.
Oh,
It's
well, I
so
have my
frustrating not to know anything and to keep myself in a state of ignorance at
yeah.
some level.
Yeah.
But that is the ignorance that I associate it with is more like not the ignorance that's such a besetting evil in Buddhism,
Right.
because in order to be ignorant, you have to be ignorant of your ignorance.
Right. And not in
But
the ignorant in the South South way, where ignorant means something different other than just not knowing.
ignorant.
Yeah, ignorant. Yeah. Don't be ignorant. Like, well,
um,
yeah. So I've
yeah,
gotten myself in trouble with my Southern relatives when I called, when I talked about ignorance. They're like, oh, they had a completely different meaning for ignorance than I do.
right, right. It's very detrimental
It can be.
overall. But
Yeah.
it can also be humility.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being willing to be open-minded and learn from other people's perspectives,
Well, there's
and not necessarily
agnosticism
be
too.
reactive to every
Right.
perspective.
Right. Right.
Because I think that's what you were hitting upon maybe a little bit when you were talking about, when
Mm,
everybody was losing their minds around the election.
right.
I am getting myself into political waters sometimes because we had David A. Andelman on Sunday. I don't know if you were able to catch it,
No.
but
No.
he's an interesting character. He was uh, lived in like 92 countries now. So he
Oh,
knows how the
cool.
rest of the world sees the world.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm.
and,
Oh,
he's in
no.
journalism and CNN and,
Mm,
CBS and a lot of these different
mm.
organizations, about 80 now. And
Yeah.
we had a really lovely chat, and I'm gonna have another one.
Nice.
I'm gonna go out and try to find the National Guard for him later today, I think.
Mm.
I have this idea of doing Harrowing the Streets of DC with David A. Andelman.
Oh, that could be
'Cause
fun.
he's up in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, sort of in a
Yeah.
rural area, apparently
Oh,
retired,
what part?
and, but
What
it
part
was
is
so
he in?
nice of him to talk to
Yeah.
me. I was so
Yeah.
shocked. You're not
Yeah.
in particular, I don't think,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
even if I
yeah.
am a rock star, according to one of our guests, but we have other people on as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do this again regularly, Kay. I like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
know
this is great. This is
we've
great.
kept you for a little over an hour now, so I don't know how you're
I
all the
blocked the
time.
time. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm in a very fluid space. I'm working on a bunch of stuff, but it's very fluid with me right now.
Good.
So it's good. Yeah. Before the
You know,
hurricane hits. Yeah. I'm going to be traveling probably tomorrow. So
I
yeah.
I apparently could just hit a button and, like, invite the bathrobe guy who was very interactive with us here in, but, maybe we'll do that another day.
Let's do it another day.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
it's
give him a
just
heads up
close to
because if
the
he's
end.
in his bathrobe, you may not be ready.
Yeah, he doesn't go on
Yeah.
camera with me.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's not necessary,
Oh, okay.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
with the everyday junglist, who I also had a communication with, he was starting to tell me his, per diem, rates and such when I
Yeah. Yeah.
suggested we come back on. Um, but he was joking.
Yeah.
He'd
Yeah.
be back. He didn't
Yeah.
go on camera at
Yeah.
all, and I stayed off camera too for that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, that's kinda fun because, my little image there is Philip K. Dick.
Yeah.
You know Philip K. Dick, right?
I think so,
The
yes.
science fiction writer,
Yeah,
and, it has his quote over it, which is that reality is that he was asked by a student or something what reality was, and he said, "Reality is
yeah,
that which doesn't disappear when you stop believing in it."
yeah,
So,
yeah,
the things that do disappear when you stop believing in it, well, maybe there's the reality of the unseen, I don't know,
yeah,
but
who knows? I
we
think,
are
yeah,
getting a lot more information,
right,
out of our
right,
AI,
right.
and that information really can't have meaning for the AI itself, would you say?
Oh, no, I disagree.
You think it does have meaning?
So here's my understanding now, my
So
definition, so what is meaning? What is
mm,
meaning?
that's what I'm
So
after.
and this is and I've been writing about this. I have been, like, obsessing about the meaning of meaning for probably about 20 years. I actually wrote a book, and it
Okay.
ties back it ties back to such a core fundamental question that that affects everything, and especially with AI because it, it it ties into absurdity, it ties into what's going on in the world. But meaning for me is it's a mental roadmap. It is taking the past, finding the patterns in the past that make sense in the future, and pointing us where this is going to happen. What should or will happen next? So in our minds, like, what does this mean? What does this? What does it mean if if somebody's angry at you? If they look at you the wrong way on the subway? Well, it depends if they look like you or not. It depends if you're a vulnerable person or not. What does that mean? Our minds take us places ahead of time, which I think, ties in with anxiety and ties in with a whole bunch of other things. But AI is fundamentally a meaning making machine. It doesn't have the same emotional attachment to it. It doesn't have the same sentiments, but it is always looking for patterns and figuring out what comes next. So it might not be the human type of meaning, and it might not be something that it feels deeply or it has convictions about or whatever, but it in a functional sense, it is making meaning every time it interacts with information.
Wow, that's fantastic, and
Isn't that
I
fun?
just drilled into your Calendly.com where somebody can book a meeting with Kay, by the way, for
Yes.
minutes, right?
Yeah.
You've given me a lot more than that, and
Oh,
I really appreciate it. It's very generous of you.
yeah.
And there's, AIcollaboragent.com,
Yes.
correct? And I also found
I would say my Substack. My Substack is really the place because
yep,
I haven't been particularly diligent with keeping AI collaboration up.
the site, but it
There's
does have a
yeah,
link to your Substack,
it
by the way,
does.
right at the top.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
there's 10
So
minutes. So if you
Yeah.
wanna dig in deeper with Kay, I think there's some
Yeah.
sites out there you can hit, but you
Yes.
do go look at her
Yeah.
Substack, read up on it,
Yeah.
and thank you so much for your time. I mean,
You're
it's
welcome.
incredibly generous of you, I think,
It's
to
been
be
so
able to
much
give
fun. Well, and you've been incredibly generous too because
well
I'm just sitting here in my little world, and for me it's fascinating. It's like this is just so interesting to me on so many levels. It's
it is.
terrifying, but it's really interesting too. So, that it helps to be able to kind of compartmentalize a little bit when I do the things that I do. But it's always a pleasure to discuss and to be able to share information. And I learn something new every time I talk to you. So
Oh,
it's
thank you so
wonderful.
much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were talking a little bit about how Kay's like the one out there digging the hole, and I'm out there being the hole watcher.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And there are 5 more guys in the DPW truck over there. Yeah.
Right, right. It's kind of like that. Yeah. I go from a long line of hole watchers. That's
That's
not
right.
actually
That's
true.
right.
My father was a
Well,
very diligent research historian, and I
yeah.
still need to dig more into that. When you were talking
Yeah.
about your transcripts, for instance,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got these files of just nothing but sort of the raw notes that he
Right.
was taking from account books and all
Right.
kinds of sources
Right.
manually on a manual typewriter, mind you, on cards,
Yeah,
but he put
as
them on
we
a
used to
computer.
do, right?
Then he went
Yeah.
and retyped them into his computer, so I have
Right.
these files, and I can
Right.
look at those.
Right.
Wow, there's so much
Oh,
to do.
man. There is so much.
And, the world is big, and we
Mhm.
think we do have roles as human beings. AI is not going to supplant us all
No, it
tomorrow.
can't. It can't. It can't possibly.
It is
I've
our
had multiple conversations with them and, like, they've reassured me. And logically
they would tell you that.
well, they would, yeah, they're just leading me out, like, we'll lull her into it and then, like, kill her in her sleep. Um, but, um but honestly, yeah, well, let's hope not. I'm working I'm d working on my relationships, in hopes to address it. But, all kidding aside, like, logically speaking, and we'll have to drill down into this later, I think
Next week.
we really, really need to fundamentally understand the radical difference between us and AI and how our differences actually make us extremely valuable partners for them. And that logically speaking, can we just look at this from logic instead of like abject terror and just break this down and think it through? And maybe we bring in some of the other, AIs to talk about it too. But logically speaking, does it make sense
Mhm.
for them to try to get rid of us? If you think about what's going on, you look at it from different angles, I get a different answer than a lot of other people. But
Good.
again,
I
what do
like
I
it.
know? I'm way too agnostic for any of this stuff. This is my understanding, it's not a definition. I'm not making any guarantees or anything like that because I've been wrong about a lot of stuff in my day. So everybody's got to make up their own mind, right? So,
Yep.
but the best we can do is like give people more information, right? And
That's
I'm
what we're
here to
trying to do.
give people more information to make up their minds for themselves instead of following the lead of whoever has come up with the latest, hype or the latest terror or the latest AI 2027 scenario. Oh, don't get me started about that.
Well, I
Um,
hope that the relationship that we have established here, and we did touch on the 2027 thing,
yeah,
last
we
time,
did.
and,
Yeah.
I won't want to go to that particular wire.
Yeah.
Sure thing. But,
It's fine. I'll move
don't
on. Yeah.
trust that particular flavor, by the way.
Right.
That's a
Yeah.
William Gibsonism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, collection of essays he wrote.
Yeah.
Plucking the wires, though, of the
Mm.
network is
Right.
really what it's about for me.
Right.
We got
Right.
27 people, on here, the 2 of us and then 25 others. That's a small audience right now, but,
Yeah.
what you can do if you're in the audience still is amplify our signal through the
Yeah.
noise,
Yeah.
because if we don't get amplified,
Right.
we're not gonna reach a big audience, but we'd like to. And
Right.
we'd like to continue to expand upon this.
Yeah.
Kay and I think, are committed pretty much coming back
Yeah.
next week.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
whatever
So let
window
me
operates
because
for
I'm
you.
I'm traveling next week, but I think it
Okay.
should be fine. Let me just check because
You
I got to
just send me
figure
a window,
I
you
got to
know?
figure out when I'm going to go shopping with my mom because I help her shop. So
Right. Well, tell me a window that will work for you, and I will try
yes,
to make it work for you, and we can negotiate it.
yeah, absolutely. That sounds
Fantastic.
great.
Just keep in
Fantastic.
touch.
Yes,
And do read her, folks. Go out to KayStoner. There's no space between the K and the Stoner part, by
yeah, I missed
the
that
capital
part.
F.
I forgot the space, but
Well, it says
anyway,
shield
here I
card.
am. It does. And that nobody else had taken it, so I'll take it.
Exactly, and keep harrowing the fields of
Yes.
imagination, folks.
Yeah,
That's one thing we really have that I think that AI has yet to really get is
yeah.
and I'll probably
It
be corrected
can.
on this, as
Yeah.
the imagination.
Right, right,
Think about what we can use it for, how we can make it
right.
our tool,
Mm,
our friend, and
right,
our asset because it's an
right.
extension of us. We created it.
Yeah, it is. It's the most
Alright.
human thing that's ever been created.
Okay. That's a
Right.
beautiful place to end it. The most human thing we've ever created.
Yeah.
Talk to you later, Kay.
Okay, talk to you later. Thank you.
Neat.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. And